don't know if you noticed this because, well, most of modern Hollywood is complete trash. Um, there's a writer strike going on right now. And in fact, now the actors have joined the writers, and the demands that the writers are making are so absurd that they will literally never get them. This strike could go on an enormous amount of time. Thank goodness for massive back catalogs of actually good entertainment. It's not like we're missing out on anything good. There's like maybe a handful of shows on TV, Outer Limits, Severance, that like, oh, it'll be a bummer if I have to wait a little longer for a season, or if it never comes back, I'll be fine because there's probably dozens of series that I've never even seen. I've never even seen The Wire. I've never seen Breaking Bad. I've never seen Better Call Saul. There's all these series. If I really absolutely have to watch TV, I can watch a series that I already know are good and not worry about the woke trash that they're churning out. Well, now a She-Hulk writer has shared a hilarious self-own that everyone, I don't know, dude thought that it was going to be some kind of heroic move for them, but this is just embarrassing for She-Hulk. By the way, this video is sponsored by Gold Co. Listen, the economy's not going back to how it was before. Remember how quickly it all went bad? First it was inflation, then the housing market bubble, banks started crashing, and now the Fed is laying the groundwork for digital currency. Your money is being attacked from almost every single angle. So at this point, you could bury your head in the sand and pretend everything will get better, or take advantage of this opportunity to protect your wealth while you still can. So write this down because you're not going to get a chance to protect your retirement savings like you are right now. You could get up to $10,000 in free silver from Sean Hannity's partner, Gold Co. You heard that right. $10,000 in free silver from Gold Co. when you use my link, quarteringgold.com. So don't miss out what could be your best opportunity to protect your retirement savings today. That's quarteringgold.com. Also, by the way, they're doing, I wanted to mention this week, all qualified callers this week will receive a free Ronald Reagan silver coin as well. So don't wait. She-Hulk attorney at law writer Cody Ziegler claims he received a residual check for $396. Ziegler's revelation came in response to the Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Iger's recent comments with David Faber on CNBC's Squawk Box while attending Sun Valley Conference in Idaho. During the interview, Iger was asked by Faber, speaking of content, we're in the midst of a writer strike, and it's very likely it would seem to have an actor strike. Well, we now know that's happening. How is that going to impact things? Were your expectations there? Iger responded and said, well, I think it's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces in this business and challenges that we're facing from the recoveries from the COOF, which is still ongoing and not even completely back. By the way, it's never coming back. I've said this since day one. The fear-mongering, the price raising, the intrusive tactics that you have to do, all this stuff, it was just going to mean that there was going to be a percentage of the population that just never went back to the movies again, or extremely rarely. I know I'm that way. Now it's just, I'd rather watch it right at home and not have to worry about it. It would have to take like an Oppenheimer level movie or The Whale or stuff like that for me to actually want to go pay to see it. Iger continued, this is the worst time in the world to add disruption. I understand any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get, the most compensation. So essentially, Bob Iger was pissed that they're going on strike when they need them the most. But again, as I've said before, that's when you go on strike. So, in terms of like any normal labor union or any normal employees trying to maximize their value, I totally understand it. Hollywood writers have very little value. Reacting to Variety's coverage of Iger's comments, Ziegler revealed the abysmal residual check he received from writing She-Hulk Attorney at Law episode Ribbit and Rip It, which featured Daredevil's highly anticipated Marvel Cinematic Universe's debut. While She-Hulk Attorney at Law's per episode budget was $25 million, Disney only compensated the Emmy-nominated writer a meager $396 residual on top of the undisclosed amount that he had already received for his staff work on the show. Now, that's the thing. Residual is extra money after the fact. Now, whatever they're getting paid, is, who knows? Let's say that Cody Ziegler was paid $1 million to write a single episode of the show. I mean, if the budget's $25 million, who knows? This person's a pretty big get, right? It's hilariously disingenuous to say, oh, well, what Cody Ziegler, this writer, wants you to think is that he only made $400. I noticed that he didn't reveal what his paycheck was, just the residual check. And by the way, that show is one of the worst abominations on television. And as far as I'm concerned, it's $400 too much. But the thing is, here you see She-Hulk writer earned a mere $396 in residuals. Residuals. So if you don't know what residuals are, essentially is you get paid for doing the show, and then there's usually back end. Let's say you're an actor. Let's say you're Charlie Sheen. Once a show gets syndicated, I think that's at 100 episodes or something like that, or it's eligible for syndication. You get paid every time that show airs, which is fair, right? A residual is fair, especially if you took much less up front. Because if the show, they're still running ads, the network's still making money off of you, so you should get a cut of that. I'm not against residuals at all. I think it's a very reasonable thing to do. But a writer, I mean, how many slices of the pie are there here? How much were you paid up front for your work? And look, $396, you got paid for doing nothing, right? And by the way, also, She-Hulk is not in syndication. I mean, it's on demand, I suppose, but maybe that few people actually watch the show. There is, an incredible amount of dishonesty, by the way, on both sides. I am sure that Disney and everyone else out there is, I'm sure, trying to screw everybody. I mean, I think that you end up with a lot of a huge drop-off in talent when you have entitlement, and then you have a huge drop-off in quality when you have somebody like Bob Iger who, wants things to get woke and wants to, I mean, look at the Snow White disaster, right? And the strike itself is also wild. Their biggest concern obviously is AI. Writers are increasingly concerned that producers will use AI to write scripts, or at least fill in the blanks on unfinished screenplays. The fast advancing technology has potentially widespread ramifications for Hollywood. By the way, I think if you're really good at it, I think if you're really good at writing, especially creativity and things like that, AI is not going to outdo you. Probably, I would hope. So really, the AI is for mediocre. It's gonna weed out mediocre writers, mid-level talent. That's what AI is going to do, at least in the near future. Long term, who knows? What Hollywood does is so formulaic and so boring and uninspired that it's absolutely possible that large swaths of them could be replaced by AI. At least with the current product, maybe it means that they're going to have to get good at their jobs. Maybe just having She-Hulk twerk isn't exactly worth a big salary and huge residual checks, is it? The strike, by the way, the ongoing strike here is profound economic implications. Now, also understand that the actors who are multimillionaires and the big writers and producers who are multimillionaires, they're fine. It's all the lower level people that are not getting paid right now, that don't have paychecks, that don't have other money coming in. The strike carries profound economic implications. The last time there was a writer's strike in 2007 to 2008, work stopped for 100 days and cost $2.1 billion to California's economy alone. According to the WGA proposals chart, the guide's proposal will gain the writers about $429 million in total per year. The AMPTP's counterproposal is an increase of $86 million a year. Meanwhile, according to WGA's calculations, industry profits have ballooned from $5 billion in 2000 to $30 billion in 2017 to 2021. Spending on original streaming content grew from $5 billion in 2019 to $19 in 2023, the lion's share of it by Netflix, which reported a $6 billion operating profits in 2021 and 5.6 in 2022. Now, what's interesting is some of their things, they want 2% of gross. I read somewhere else, they're not even net. AI, they know that they're going to be replaced by AI. I mean, you had Tom Cruise striking Actors Union surprise appearance during negotiation session, blasts the use of AI. What do you mean? What do you mean? There's going to be a time in our lives, maybe not my life, but maybe some of my younger viewers, where entire movies will be AI written and AI generated. I mean, it's like basically you take a VTuber, right? And then you just give them an AI script. We're almost there already. Now, the production value, the animation, things like that, we're probably not there yet. But the reality is we're not that far off. And this strike here, I don't think that that Disney is really, or the big powers that be are really interested in paying extra money at a time when Disney is literally collapsing. But I've got a different video on that later today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.